I'll fast forward to my connection to the restaurant industry. The bulk of my work was in what's called middle market mergers and acquisitions, so mostly small to mid-sized companies. And I found myself doing work for a number of clients in the restaurant and hospitality space. One of my clients, I was working with them to buy a chain of British-style pubs based up in Canada. I coincidentally was a beer lover since I was maybe a little bit too young, and developed a nice relationship with the group. And once the company was acquired, it's called the Elephant and Castle, they asked me to join the senior leadership team. We were looking to buy restaurants both in Canada and the U.S. And develop different concepts, ultimately to build a bigger company. So that was already back in 2006. So for the first 3 or 4 years, I did a lot of traveling around the U.S. We had 3 different types of pubs. We had 40 restaurants in total in the U.S. and Canada. Different levels of experience, from more casual lower end to some higher end concepts. Worked with that group until its sale to another Canadian company back in 2012, and started to do some work on my own in New York. As was mentioned, I was on the board of directors of a publicly traded company that was called Good Times Restaurants. That was more on the fast food side of the business, largely in the Colorado market. And I was working with them as an advisor, helping them evaluate different restaurant concepts. We ended up buying another brand called Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, which at the time had 6 restaurants. We bought the company. We raised capital around that restaurant, and that was that whole exercise was very interesting to me. I probably looked at 40 different types of restaurants around the country, evaluating different financial models for restaurants. I mean, the restaurants, aside from the experience and the fun and the glamour that people know, it's a fairly intricate business, as Chef I'm sure can attest to, and it really runs the gamut of really all aspects of business, from finance to marketing to production, logistics to labor relations. So while I sort of fell into it, through a financial transaction, it really became my life for the better part of, again, for 13, 14 years. Worked with some higher end chains here in New York City. Worked with a regional steakhouse brand, and then after about 3 years of consulting, decided that I'd like to settle down, and with my core background being finance, became the chief financial officer for what was called the David Burke Group at the time. And we operated at our peak about 15 different properties. Again, some hotel-based restaurants, some casino-based properties, some full serves, some casual restaurants, and again, working with our management teams and supply chains, and very large labor force. We had over 500 employees, and certainly a very interesting experience for me. Sort of fast forward a couple of years to where we are today in the restaurant business, which is certainly very unfortunate. My personal reason why you see that I'm not a CFO of a restaurant company any longer, it's a large retail laundromat company, wasn't necessarily COVID related. I left my company before the pandemic hit, but then as I was taking some time, I did some traveling. We did the move to New York, and looking to reconnect. COVID hit, so a number of discussions that I had were put on hold, and fortunately, found myself where I am today in a good spot. But this is certainly the hardest time the restaurant industry has ever experienced. As things get worse, certainly here in New York City, not being able to have indoor dining, even the indoor dining as it lasted for a couple of months at 25% capacity, was a challenge for many restaurants. Restaurants while they might seem, again, glamorous, many of them really operate on very low margins. They really depend on a constant flow of revenue. They employ a lot of people. There's a tremendous amount of flow through for, again, down the supply chain to farmers and delivery companies and liquor manufacturers. So it really supports tremendous employee base, and not being able to service customers indoors, and of course being shut down, it's been very devastating for the industry. It certainly will come back. I think a lot of the restaurants, I think the landscape will change. You'll see the ones that are doing well around the country are the drive-throughs and the takeout and delivery companies. I think when the industry comes back, you'll see the higher end restaurants do well. You'll see hotel-based restaurants do well. Travel will recommence, and those businesses will continue. I think the future for your mid-level casual sit-down restaurant, that's the challenge, because the quality at fast food and casual restaurants has really been elevated. There's tremendous technology. Again, for the quality and the price, for your average restaurant, many of them, sadly, just won't be able to come back, which is certainly a shame, for people who have made their livelihoods, sometimes many generations. And you look at the news, certainly here in New York, I mean, thousands of restaurants have already closed, and unfortunately, I think there will be more. But restaurants are an important part of communities, and people need to go out. People do need to eat 3 times a day. The industry will recover, but I think it'll look a little bit different. So it's an industry I'll always follow. I have friends, and I have some connection to the industry still, and I feel for all of those people. And but I wouldn't say anybody in college or looking for positions, I wouldn't necessarily recommend staying away from the industry, because I really enjoyed it. It's an exciting business when it goes well. It can be a challenge at times, but as a career choice, I think it could be very rewarding. So that's kind of my story. I'm sure we'll have some questions, but I think we can turn it over to Chef to give a bit about his background and story.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy 8th night of Hanukkah. I'm Chef Shalom Yehudiel from the Humble Toast. Gary, thank you so much for sharing everything. You seem like a really knowledgeable, sweet guy, and it's great to hear, kind of your background and what you've gone through and seen, through your days in the restaurant business and before and after. So thanks so much for sharing. So a little bit about myself, guys. I've been cooking since I was about 14 years old. My first job was on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. It was actually for, the place was called Afghan Kebab House. I know, an Israeli kid working at an Afghani store, I know, but it worked out somehow. The food was good. We cooked fresh burgers, fresh kebabs, things like that. And that kind of sort of lit my, my interest in the culinary world. So that was, like I said, my first position ever. Through the years, I worked a little bit in this restaurant as a dishwasher, that. Just my father really wanted me to know what the dollar means and how hard you have to work in order to get where you want to get in life. So, like I said, I worked a lot of, different kind of kitchen jobs throughout my childhood. And then a little bit later on in life, I worked, after high school. I got into banking. I got into finance. I worked for a really great bank called Commerce Bank. And I really loved what I did. I was working on the Upper East Side. I was, in my early 20s. It was fantastic. I was really happy. But I knew also the same sense that it's not something that I was passionate about. And I kind of really needed to figure out what that passion is. And part of my passion comes from actually watching my mom cook since I was a little boy. My mom used to come in on Friday, mornings or early Friday, afternoons, and Within a few hours, she was able to put together a meal for 10, 12 people and gathered everybody around on a Friday night and ate and drank, and just really, it really kind of gave me that connection to watching what food does to people. Besides obviously feeding people, which is important, I believe a beautiful plate of food can really spark up a great conversation, a little bit of a toast. It's just kind of everything that it creates, and just it comes from a beautiful plate of food. So fast forward, like I said, I was working in the banking industry. I was kind of trying to figure out what it is that I'm passionate about. And, I started thinking about cooking and, culinary world and restaurants. And like I said, I had that passion for it since I started when I was 14, but I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. As you always question yourself, is this the right move? Should I do it? Should I not? So finally, I signed up for an online course at the Art Institute of Phoenix, and I did 1 semester with in culinary school online. I did well, and I decided that I'm packing my bags. And after all my life growing up in New Jersey, I'm moving to Arizona. So I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and went to the Art Institute of Phoenix. I started out my career in Phoenix, Arizona. I was taken under the wing of this really amazing chef who sometimes is still on the Food Network. His name is Chef Aaron May. All you college students out there, if you guys remember, there was some big controversy about some TikTok star, like spitting out the food that her private chef made for her. That's Chef Aaron May. That was my first chef. So just a little connection there. Um, Anyways, so I started out my career. My first position I held in a restaurant was a station called Garde Manger, which pretty much is cold salads and desserts. Um, when I first started that position, there was a cheese plate that I had to make. When I first started, that cheese plate used to take me about maybe 12 to 13 minutes to make each one. By the time I was done at that restaurant, I was making it in about 2.5 minutes. So I kind of got my feet wet, got to know how the industry works. Worked for a really great chef. The first cuisine I ever worked with professionally was Spanish tapas, which I still love till today. Um, so I started working my way up. Like I said, my first position was garde manger. I worked my way up after that to a fry cook. After a fry cook, you become a saute guy. After the saute guy, you become a grill guy if you're good enough. And then once you have pretty much mastered all those positions on the line, somebody might give you a chance to be a sous chef, and then that could eventually lead to executive sous, and then executive chef. So that's kind of what I did throughout my career. I kept working hard. I worked for different country clubs. I worked for the Arizona Biltmore. And when I was in culinary school, I had a chef of mine that told me that it's really important in the beginning of your career to go around and kind of learn from different chefs, learn different cuisines, different management styles, and really, that's going to help you form who you are as a chef. So that's kind of was what was in the back of my mind. I never wanted to stay in one place for too long. I wanted to experience and learn and really kind of figure out what it is and what path I want to take in this career. So after working in the Valley, I got my first sous chef position. After, like I said, I ran through all the line positions. I was offered a sous chef position, which was the first time in my life, at a little French Italian bistro. I don't want to give the name, but it was a little French Italian bistro in Phoenix, Arizona. I worked about 80 hours a week and was paid about $600 a week in order to do that. The guy knew I was young, he knew I was hungry, and he knew I was dedicated, so he took advantage. But what it did do for me was gave me that opportunity to put sous chef on my resume, and that opened up many other doors for me. After I worked for this French bistro for maybe half a year, I was offered a position as a sous chef at Fox Restaurant Concepts. They have a location called the Arrogant Butcher, one of their concepts in downtown Phoenix. That place, very, very busy. It's right across the street from the United Airways Center, if anybody's been to downtown Phoenix. And any concerts or any sort of sporting events, we would just get slammed. So that kind of taught me, how to really just kind of keep up with the business, keep up with demand, but still have very high qualities. And the Arrogant Butcher is actually inspiration for the name The Humble Toast, believe it or not. we kind of wanted to do the exact opposite of what the arrogant butcher would be. And then so after working for Fox, they asked me to open up a few other concepts. They promoted me. After about being in Phoenix, Arizona for about 5 years, like I said, I'm originally from Israel, so I love the beach and I love the sunshine and all that. And I had the sunshine in Arizona, but I did not have the beach at all. So I decided to move out west. I got an offer from the Patina Group in downtown Disneyland to come and be the exec sous chef at one of their concepts called Naples, which was their Italian concept in downtown Disney. They flew me out there, moved me out there, and then I blink and all of a sudden I'm a cast member and I'm working in downtown Disney, which was very, very cool. I really had an amazing time. So as busy as I learned, as busy as I was at Fox, Patina and downtown Disney was that much busier. I had a staff, I had a staff of about 70 people under me, 2 full kitchens. Just to give you guys an idea as far as numbers, I mean, I don't know who's worked in the restaurant business, who hasn't, but in one day on Mother's Day, whenever, a few years back, we did $72,000 in sale from food and beverage. So as you can imagine, a day like that is just nonstop breakfast, lunch, dinner, just people continuously coming in, busy, busy, busy. And it taught me a lot. It taught me how to, run a really tight ship, how to manage a lot of different personalities, because in any business, and especially the restaurant business, there is a lot of personalities. There are a lot of personalities. And you cannot manage everybody the exact same. Everyone likes to be spoken to a certain way or not a spoken way. So you really have to make sure that, you are, you're managing everybody according to their personality. And it really helped me grow as a person, as a chef, to be at a place that was so busy and really kind of made me look towards what else I can do. At that point, I was kind of 10 years out on the West Coast in Arizona, then in California. I decided it's time to come back home, which is Fair Lawn, New Jersey, Bergen County, New Jersey, where I kind of grew up. And when I came back, I actually started for the first time in many, many years, keeping the Sabbath, keeping kosher again. And because of that, I couldn't just jump right into another restaurant gig. I had to find something in the kosher world that would, be able to accommodate, me not being able to work Fridays and Saturdays. Because any restaurant, non-kosher restaurant, if you're a chef and you're coming into this place and telling, oh, by the way, I can't work Fridays and Saturdays, good luck to you. So it's not going to work. So luckily I found a position as a chef de cuisine in a local restaurant here in Teaneck, New Jersey. And then I kind of saw an avenue that I thought I could be a use for a lot of people, and kind of grow it. So what I started doing I started consulting for different restaurants around actually Rockland County, the Muncie area, basically places that were open and losing money and kind of struggling. So I would come in and pretty much assess what was going on, whether it was the food cost, the labor, the menu, the whole flow of the place, whatever it is. And I would see kind of what the issues are. And I did 3 restaurants in about a year and a half. And whatever the particular problem or problems were for that place, we would adjust. And within 6 months, we would get them profitable. So I did that. Like I said, I did 3 restaurants in a year and a half. And that brought us to October 2018, where I saw this location in Teaneck, New Jersey, where I said, you know what, a place called the Humble Toast should be right there. And that's what we did. And if anybody's ever heard of the Humble Toast or has tried it or hasn't, you guys should. We smoke and cure all our own corned beef and pastrami in-house. We smoke our own turkeys. We make our own roast beef. We make all our own sauces. All our burgers are ground fresh every morning. Nothing's ever frozen, super duper fresh and delicious. And basically the only thing on our menu that we don't make is the bread. The bread comes from Brooklyn every morning. So we're really proud of what we've done and since we've opened up. Now I just want to kind of touch just a little bit about the pandemic and kind of of what's going on with restaurants around the country and then really around the world. It's been obviously a huge hit for everybody in the hospitality business, whether it's hotels, restaurants. I mean, it's really been tough for us. We are lucky that we serve a community that really does everything they can to support us. We do deliveries to different towns. We actually also have a food truck that we do private events with, and as well as we go to certain communities and we cook for them on the spot for their, for dinner or for lunch. And we did that throughout the summer on our Summer of Love Tour 2020. And what I really feel about this, about COVID, the pandemic, is that, it's tough, and, unfortunately, a lot of places are gonna, go under and not come back. And it's really, it's like Darwin, like survival of the fittest right now. You got to just do everything you can, claw away, make it happen. If restaurateurs or people are kind of just like, hopefully it'll work out, you got to make it work out and do everything and anything you can. And, my heart goes out to people who have done everything and anything they can and still haven't been able to make it because, overhead, New York City, can you imagine having that sort of rent and not being able to sit people in your restaurant? It's heartbreaking. This field that I chose is something that I dearly love. And besides the food and the service and the ambiance that's important, it's really all about the people. And to see so many people kind of lose out on something that they've worked so hard to achieve in their life has really been tough to watch. And my prayers and my thoughts go out to all those restaurateurs and chefs who have struggled through this whole thing. As college students, whoever here is watching that's in college, if you guys really like a certain place in town, or you just know that this place might not make it, do your best, go buy dinner one night, or go buy lunch, or buy a gift card, or buy a hat, or buy, anything you can do to help out, the restaurant industry in this, during this time is a huge mitzvah. And we all need it, and it's a tough time, but I'm a big believer in God. And I know that everybody will prevail. Whoever needs to prevail will prevail, and we need to continue to work hard and stay positive, and basically just make sure that we stay healthy throughout all this, and do our best. So I think I know I'm kind of skipping all around, Nelson, don't yell at me, but I'm gonna tell you guys just there's one little other thing that I know they wanted me to speak about. If you guys didn't get a chance to see, I was on the show on the Food Network called Chopped. It was on September 12th, I believe, 2020, just a few months ago. It was a really special thing. It was really cool to watch it happen, watch it actually, play out. Actually doing the show was not so cool, I'll be honest. It was real stressful. It was very tough. So if anybody's ever seen that show and is like, nah, it can't be that hard, it's way harder, I promise. And we did our best. Whoever didn't see the show, I'm not going to give away what happened. If you guys do want to check it out, you can YouTube it. It's season 47, episode 12, Chopped. And you could watch us, watch me, watch the Humble Toast represent on the Food Network. And well, another special thing about that was I was the first kosher chef that they actually accommodated for, meaning my rabbi came in, made the whole kitchen kosher. I cooked with kosher ingredients. I was able to taste all the food. So there was no excuses. But definitely it was something else. I'm very proud of, I think the way, we came across, and I'm proud of the way I represented us as a community, I feel. And like I said, whoever hasn't saw it, please check it out. And that's it. That's all I got. So if anybody has questions later on, I'd love to hear them. I hope, Nelson, I did all right. And pleasure to meet everybody and see everybody. And again, happy 8th night of Hanukkah. A lot of love and happiness and success to all.
Great. Just drop them in the chat box. We can jump right into that. But if not, I do have a few started off. So first of all, how will ghost kitchens make an impact in the hospitality space, even past COVID? I know even some of the apps now have started to kind of create these fake kitchens just for delivery. How do you think those will kind of pop up? And do you think some of the more higher end, like a Danny Meyer or like EMP in the city would ever kind of go into that model?
That question was for me, correct?
Yeah, either or. Yeah, we'll start with you.
You could take it
Chef.
first, Sean.
Okay. Ghost kitchens, I think, are definitely gonna change hospitality in a lot of ways. I mean, if a guy has one location and he can possibly open up another location without the whole brick and mortar and the storefront and save himself a lot of money for the initial investment, as well as, the overall day-to-day operating costs, it makes a lot of sense. So I think ghost kitchens are, definitely a thing of the future and the present, because I've got a call just within the last week about somebody telling me about a ghost kitchen. It would be fantastic for me, instead of taking a storefront in the city, just to go into a ghost kitchen and be able to deliver and do everything else that way. So, it definitely takes a lot of the intimacy out of the restaurant business, which I think a lot of people look for, because at the end of the day, you definitely want good hot food coming to your door, but you also want a good place in your neighborhood that you can go and take your wife or your girlfriend to and have a not just good food, but an overall great experience. So they definitely are gonna, impact the industry. But I just hope that not so much where, you see your favorite restaurants closing down because they can't compete with, guys who are just delivering food. So.
Right. Anything else, Gary, you want to add to that?
No, I think I would certainly tend to agree. Anything that you could eliminate overhead or capital investment is something that's going to be needed, and it's ghost kitchens are one of the developments that have really accelerated even before COVID over the last couple of years. But I would tend to agree that if you're a chef or have a real culinary chef-driven concept, you might lose that level of quality, and it sort of will blur into sort of the just big mixture of different types of food that's out there. So I think you do lose some element of uniqueness and branding, but it's here to stay. It's a new model that will certainly be part of the industry.
Great. Thank you both. The next question is from Paul Weinstein. Paul asks, what's the biggest difference between adjusting for preparing food inside, dining in versus the whole takeout model in terms of the preparation or in terms of the kind of budgeting? So that's, so I'll start with you, Gary.
Certainly consideration for what types of food you can offer. Different types of food travel better than others. You have to pay very close attention to the type of packaging that you can transport your food in. That affects the temperature, the quality, how long it takes. You have to have your delivery model down. You're using all kinds of technology and apps and systems in your kitchen to make that work. So you see a lot of restaurants that have adapted to takeout delivery are really changing their menus to simplify, to really focus on the core items that they know they can do well and that could travel well, and it changes their model, and there are different costs involved. Certainly the delivery aspect of it. It's been all over the news about the delivery companies, charging 20-30% of the cost. So it's really been a challenge to make that work from an economic basis. You chalk those investments up to staying alive, and for marketing, it's certainly important. But it changes what you can do as a chef or as a restaurateur.
Right. And I just know from my experience kind of working in restaurants, there's also a very big concept now, and a lot of cities actually have mandated the stop of like all styrofoam. So that's, I know, like I've seen a lot more of the eco compostable materials, right, compared to the old styrofoam, which would take years and years to like decompose. So that's kind of a big change. I know a lot of cities have started doing, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. The next question is from Zachary. How much more difficult is it to run a kosher restaurant rather than a non-kosher one during COVID times? Chef?
That's for sure.
Hey, yes. So honestly, COVID or not COVID, it's the running a kosher restaurant is, I would say, a little more difficult than running a non-kosher restaurant. I've done both. With the kosher in the kosher restaurant, there are you need to have that obviously supervision. My fridge and freezer gets locked up every night and can only be opened by a Shomer Shabbos Jew. I have to always have a Shomer Shabbos Jew on premises while we're in operation. The meat that I purchase is obviously more expensive. And there's definitely more financially that goes into it. But as far as operations wise, it's the same thing, just except for, you definitely have to make sure, like I said, that somebody who keeps Shabbat lights the fires, cracks the eggs, there's certain things that we have to do, but not too much of a difference,
Right. Yeah, for sure. I can imagine it's quite a challenge in terms of, right, you have to, if you of course raise prices, of the fact that, you have to have a mashgiach on premises. So that's something that, even if it's like, a conservative kosher, there still has to be, someone supervising it, for sure. So from Jamie, Jamie asks, can you tell us about the expansion plans for the humble toast concept and what's that look like, especially with COVID?
So actually, we are opening up, God willing, in about 4 weeks, our second concept. It's called La Cocina de Nava, and we're going to be focusing on fresh pasta and pizza. Kind of our spin on a good Italian neighborhood spot. It's located about 45 seconds away from where the Humble Toast is located, and it's named for my daughter, who's going to be 1 year old in about a week. So we were hoping to get it open on her birthday, and the good news is we'll be cooking on her birthday, not quite yet open on her birthday, but so that's coming to Teaneck, like I said, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, God willing. And we want to just continue to put out great food. For us, like I said, it all matters. The food, the ambiance, the service, the cleanliness, everything really matters. And I really, a lot of that experience, like I said, came from Disney, came from Fox, from, being in the non-kosher world and bringing my knowledge and my experience into the kosher world. And so far, I think people like it. So we'll continue with that.
Thank you all. That was our final question of the night. Again, thank you, Chef and Gary, for their insight. And now for our final speaker. Our final speaker this evening is lay leader Bill Fortunic, who has served since 2002 as a clergy partner, Congregation Beth Jacob in Redwood City, California. In this role, he's a teacher and mentor to all ages, especially the youth. One of his chef contributions and joys is to create connections and form relationships with the people of our community. To that end, Bill maintains contact with the vast majority of B'nai Mitzvah students he has taught, staying in touch through college and post-college years. Bill works each B'nai Mitzvah student like individually and as a mentor. He oversees teen, college, and young adult outreach programs. Bill has a love of learning and teaches all ages from preschool to seniors, including adult B'nai Mitzvah students and alumni of our adult B'nai Mitzvah classes. For him, there's nothing better than finding new meaning in our text and helping others connect with the tradition in meaningful ways. Bill has led several synagogue groups to Israel and is passionate about the support of Israel, especially of the humanitarian and research projects that CBJ supports, including Ala Negev, the Central Arva Medical Center, and ACAT, Project Letket, and the Arva Institute, to name a few. Bill is active with Jewish National Fund, serving on the Go Northeast Task Force and the Galilee Culinary Institute, GCI, and the Northeast in Northern California Board of Directors. Bill has actively been involved in the broader Jewish community, serving on the board of directors of the Gideon Hasnor Jewish Day School Advocacy Committee of the Peninsula Jewish Teen Foundation, and active in the American Jewish World Service. Bill remains involved in synagogue leadership throughout reading Torah and serving on synagogue boards. He has a degree in history from Princeton University. He was born in the Bronx, raised in New Jersey, and is blessed with a wonderful family. Bill, please go ahead.
Thanks, guys. That was a long bio. I didn't realize the bio was so long. I apologize, everybody. So I do come from New Jersey. When I see how much snow's on the ground, I'm happy that I'm not there. But I gotta say, Chef, I wish I were there now to eat at your place. I was just talking to my wife today. We're thinking about a New Year's dinner and having catering. It's like, who ships kosher meat to the Bay Area? Because you just can't find it. So, you know, if you ever want to ship, accept it. And before I start, I am going to talk a little bit about J&F and the project and the Galilee Culinary Institute. But first, I want to say thank you. It's so important. I want to thank Nelson. Thank you for contacting me. Gabby, thank you for setting this up. Alyssa and Eliana, thank you. If I forgot from the team, I'm sorry, but you can yell at me, and that's fine. I'm used to being yelled at. Gary and Chef, thank you so much for the presentation. It was really terrific to hear. So I'll just tell you, well, it's not going to be quick. I'll tell you a story. About 2 years ago, in New York, I was in New York a lot. A lot of times I was visiting my college students, my alumni. I actually travel around the country. Well, now I don't, but around the country and I visit the kids I taught for bar and bat mitzvah, and I go see them. And, you know, when they're over 21, we go out drinking, which is really not so good for me anymore, but, you know, whatever. I went to New York, and I was going to visit Avnet Kleiner. Avnet is a representative of Adi Negev. It was Ali a few weeks ago. An incredible special needs organization in one of the most pure expressions of love I've ever seen. Avnet's just a good friend. He's Israeli. He's been living in New York doing development, and so I stopped off at La Boite. La Boite is a spice place. It's like Chef's Disneyland. Okay, you find these blends from Lior Lev Sarkar, chef and a spice master. And so I was in the spice blend, and because I'm chef de cuisine in my house, and so I was blends, and I was talking to Lior, and I said, "Do you get to Israel?" In conversation, because he's from Israel.
We lost Bill for a moment, but he should be back on any moment. Thank you all for your patience. Bill will be right back with us. Thank you.
Bill. Yeah. I'm out of wine, man.
Exactly.
Wow. Oh.
Gabi, while we wait for Bill to rejoin us, would you mind sharing why you want to do this program and why GCI is so important to you?
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we have Bill. Yes. So I have heard about ever since meeting Lior actually 2 years ago in Scottsdale at National Conference 2018 at the Biltmore, which of course Chef Shalom worked at. I just kind of thought that vision was amazing, and I think centering the North for the this new culinary school and a culinary capital, Kiryat Shmona, just has so much potential. Attending a culinary school, even though I'm on the back house side of things, there's definitely a possibility going forward with some kind of partnership, and really, it's really great to have that spot at Kibbutz Ganon that students from around the world can come to and kind of make their own. So without further ado, back to Bill.
I hope my story didn't get me kicked off. So, I know it's a long story. So all right, anyway, so what I was saying was I was over with Lior at his shop, Lior Lev Surcars, and he says, well, I'll be going to Israel a lot more now because I'm starting this project up in the Galilee. We're going to do some kind of culinary institute. I said, that's amazing. That's really cool. So I was walking over to see Avnet, and I get a call from the person who's one of the JNF staff people from Northern California who says, hey, you love to cook, don't you? Well, did you know that JNF is doing a culinary institute? I said, of course it is. Like, are you kidding me? This is the word besheret, right? I'm just in New York, just randomly. And it turns out, of course, Lior is working with JNF because who else develops Israel the way JNF does? And so it was just incredible. And so I'll just back up for a second because I'll tell you about GCI a little bit, but I'll tell you a quick thing about my background. I actually started off in the corporate world and I finally got tired of it. And I was asked politely by our senior rabbi to be part of the clergy team. So I never went to rabbinical school, but it's basically what I in our synagogue. It's a conservative synagogue. And about 10 years ago, we got involved. And here's one of the wonderful things about JNF is that we have two people who are lay leaders with JNF on the national board. We're on a task force down in the desert, in the Arava, which, if you haven't been to the Arava, is amazing, but it's a little bit remote. Have medical facilities down there. So if you live in the middle of the Arava, which by the percent of the agricultural exports of Israel come from the Arava, where they get 1 inch of, but there's no medical. So you'd have to drive an hour and a half to Beersheba or to Eilat, absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And so there's two lay leaders from my community said, you need a medical center here. And within 2 years, there was a medical center because we participated as a synagogue and lots of donors stepped up in beautiful ways and created, it's not a full hospital, it's a medical center, but it's a 24/6, but really 24/7 medical center in the middle of the Arava. And so my synagogue started it. And one of the things that's really cool is that you can, on every level, you can participate. And so we said, let's raise $50,000 as a community, which we did. Some people gave $18 and some people gave a lot more than $18. And we raised a lot of money and to help the medical center be come to fruition. But then the following 2-year project, we said, let's not just raise money. One of the things, by the way, that's sometimes frustrating is you say, what can I do? Right? And the answer is, well, you can give money. It's right here. This is very important. However, being involved in some way is so much more, it's so much more gratifying to be able to do both, not just write a check, but be there. And what we said was, let's start a project and a partnership with Ale Negev, which I mentioned before I got cut off, and let's raise again, let's do $50,000 over 2 years, but let's send 50 people to Ale Negev to visit. Let's let people see what it is. And we wound up doubling both goals, which was just fantastic. And we've worked with ACAT, which was mentioned in my bio, which is an agricultural school in the Arava. And we put a project, raised a ton of money for ACAT, wound up speaking at their graduation, which was just the most mind-boggling thing. But again, it's like for me, this ability to be hands-on and the ability to create connection and relationship is something that JNF does so incredibly well. And sometimes we get a little bogged down in the numbers, and we do campaigns and, I'm on a local board and I'm on a task force and a lot of it is fundraising. But at the core of everything is that JNF helps you get to know people and projects and things in Israel. You get to know what Israel is. You get to know who Israel is. You get to be there. So we went 2 years ago on a task force. I went on a mission task force and my daughter, Shira, came with me. She's 16 now. We traveled around the north with a small group of people. We saw all the projects going on, one of which is this amazing Galilee Culinary Institute, which is all the way in the Northeast, in Kiryat Shmona, Kibbutz Gonen. So it's a beautiful, fertile area. And one of the things that's going on up there is that there's a food technology hub. There are tons and tons of food technology companies who are doing amazing things. When we were there, we got to eat grasshoppers, lots and lots of hargol, which are kosher grasshoppers. They were, I thought they were excellent, but not everybody agreed with me, but whatever. And we got to see like Tel Chai College, where they're doing all these amazing things, not just with food, by the way, not just with food. We met one guy who had a drone with an algorithm on it, which sweeps the fields of a farmer and finds pests, specific pests. So generally speaking, in order to get rid of pests, you have to kind of carpet bomb it. This absolutely localizes where every pest is and tells you what it is, so you know exactly how to deal with it. Things like that. There are so many different opportunities in that area. And so the Culinary Institute, you know, typically when you hear Culinary Institute, you think cooking school, and that's there. Amazing thing, you know, like you can learn how to cook, and you can learn how to brew beer, and you can learn how to make wine and chocolate and things like that. But a Culinary Institute is much, much, much more than that. And when you hear from Lior, I think next spring, you'll hear his vision and how this all came to be. But this is more than just cooking, you know, although it is cooking. It's food technology. It's business. It's how you run a restaurant. It's how you deal with the supply chain. It's how you relate to farmers. It's how you choose your it's how you choose your suppliers. It's all sorts of things. It's everything that goes into running a restaurant. You know, I'm sure Chef, you'll attest to this very well. Like cooking's only part of the deal. You know, it's a big part of the deal, but it's like all the other things. You know, you got the garbage people coming, and you have to deal with the town, and you got all these other regulations, and how do you do that? So the Culinary Institute is being set up to help people come into the food business. You know, if you want to run a food company, you know, you want to be the next CEO of Kraft and turn Kraft into a giant kosher conglomerate, you can do that. You know, that would be kind of fun, actually, I think. But the Institute's going to be doing all sorts of stuff. It's not just a degree, you know, there'll be degree programs and such, but they're also going to have tourists. They're going to have the ability, like you know, as you heard, I lead groups, and we're going to go there and we'll cook for a day or two. And I may stay behind for a while. I have a sabbatical planned at some point if COVID ever goes away, and I'm planning to find myself a bed at the Culinary Institute and really learn how to actually cook rather than just to cook hack around in my kitchen. Can learn how to make whiskey, I'm pretty sure. Okay, this was direct from Israel. If you like tahina, you could have tahina from the Galio, from Shomron. Actually, here's some amba, right? You can learn how to make these products. You can learn how to brand these products, package the products, sell the products. So that is my pitch on the Culinary Institute. But again, the most important thing for me is that by developing these projects, it builds Israel. It pulls people out of the center of Israel to the north and the south, and you get to meet all the people who are making this happen. And there's, for me, nothing more exciting than that, to actually meet the people on the ground and talk to the mayor of Kiryat Shmona and find out the vision and see the housing going up and seeing people move out of, Ramat Aviv and places which are just choked with traffic, to be able to be together. So there you go. This is what's going on with the Culinary Institute. I hope you investigate it more. There's I don't have the website URL to type in, but I mean, Galilee Culinary Institute. I should be able to find it really easily, but I don't have it at my fingertips. But in any event, I'm happy to take any questions or thoughts or comments. I see none, which means that either I did a great, thank you, Gabi, thank you. Either I did a great job or a terrible job. So, but you can always feel free to contact me. And I also want to make an offer to everybody who's here from college, okay? At the beginning of the program, Gabi talked about, being able to go to Israel, and that you have a nut to hit. What was it, $1,150? Was that the number?
Yes. Yep.
And 5 donors. Okay, I will be one of your 5 donors if you're short a donor. Okay, and you can get my information from Nelson, and I am happy to contribute to anybody going to Israel from college. Okay. So that was a little bonus. That's a little surprise there. I just thought it would be kind of nice. So please, please, please go visit, go see, and go be part of all this. All right. I see no questions. I only see URLs, which is very good. Thanks so much, Gabi. Thanks, Nelson. I think I'm supposed to wrap it up. Is that right? Okay, good. I am going to take my bottle now. I'm going to go pour myself something. And since I'm in California, I'm going to go light some Hanukkah candles as well. So, Hanukkah Sameach, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Hanukkah. Shabbat Shalom. And I hope to meet all of you at conference next time we're able to have it. Good night.